Hello there and welcome to another Hero Arts video. It's Michelle Short here and I've got a quick and simple card using the Killer Messages set to share with you. So I'm starting off by running 2 pieces of cardstock through my die cutting machine, and I'm using one of the rectangles from the Rectangle Infinity dies, and I'm cutting 1 piece of plain white cardstock and 1 piece of Bristol cardstock. And now I've made a template off screen, and I've literally just drawn on a piece of cardstock with a pencil like a wave design to use as my C for my card. And I've used that as a template so that I can reuse this as many times as I want. So I'm just taking that template or the stencil and I'm just drawing that onto my piece of Bristol cardstock, and then I can cut that out using scissors. I find it's a really good way of creating different borders. You can actually just cut them yourself without having to have a die or anything like that. Just a really simple shape, so I can cut that out with my scissors. And then I can just erase the pencil line, although I actually didn't need to at this point, because I have my piece of white cardstock here that I'm going to stamp on, and I want to know where those waves are going to be. So I just went over that with my pencil again and then erased the lines again. So here I've got that wave piece, which is made from the Bristol cardstock, which is going to be my C for my shark to jump out of. And I'm using the bold inks to add on some colour. I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending. So this is my lightest shade. This is the Summer Sky colour. And I'm just using a stencil brush just to do a very thin, smooth layer of the ink onto this piece to start with. The bold inks are really good for ink blending because they are a combination of pigment ink and dye ink, so they blend onto the cardstock really well. Although I am using some Bristol cardstock and this has a slight coating on it, and it makes inks blend really well onto it as well. So next I'm going to go in with my mid-tone colour, and this is the Aquatic colour, and it's got a little bit more of a turquoise colour to it. And then I'm going to go in with my darkest shade, which is the Deep Ocean. And just making sure that I've got a nice layer of ink onto that piece of cardstock. And then next I'm going to add a layer on top of that to create a little bit more interest. So this is the Abstract Waves stencil. And I'm just placing that on the top, and then I'm going to use some sponge daubers just to create a little bit more of a colour on top. I'm using sponge daubers for this because, as you can see, the stencil is quite delicate and it helps to get inside all those little sort of nooks and crannies there. So I started off with the same colours that I used before. I started off with the Deep Ocean, and then I'm going in here with the Summer Sky, which is my lightest shade. And then I didn't take my stencil down, but I was just being really careful here not to sort of move it as I went along. And then this is the mid-tone colour, which is the Aquatic, and I'm just making sure to go over some of the parts of the lighter shade and some of the darker shade just to blend that together, and that's my C there finished. Here I've got my cardstock piece where I'm going to stamp onto, and I'm going to use the Killer Messages set, and I've taken the shark from that stamp set and also one of the sentiments, and just placing that in my MISTI. And then I can erase the pencil line where the waves were onto that piece of cardstock. I just wanted it so that I knew where to line up my stamps. So I just erased that pencil line, and then I can just place that back in the MISTI. And then I'm going to ink up my stamps with Intense Black ink. I'm using Intense Black ink because it's a really good ink to use with Copic markers. It's Copic friendly. The only thing is, unfortunately, mine is running out of ink. I have ordered a re-inker, but it didn't arrive in time for the video. So I am stamping it a couple of times. You wouldn't necessarily need to do this with yours if it was fully inked. And here I'm just going to colour in my shark. I'm just really doing some basic colouring here, and I'm going in with my darkest shade of grey, which is the N6. So just placing that colour towards the bottom of the shark and sort of at the sides of him as well. And then I'm going in with my mid-tone colour, which is the N4. So just blending that colour out. And then I'm going to go in with my lightest shade, which is the N2, just to blend that all together. And then I don't know if sharks' mouths actually are red, but I thought it would make a little bit more of an impact for the card if it was red, to go along with the grey and the blue of the sea. So I'm just going in with some red colours of Copics. So I'm using the R89 as my darkest, the R37 and R29 as my mid-tone, and then I'm going in with the lightest, which is the R27. And I just kept the teeth as they were, completely white. So here I've got an A2 top folding black card base, and I'm just adding some adhesive onto the back of the stamped panel, and I can just place that in the middle. So here I've got that C piece, and I wanted to add it onto the card with some dimension. So I'm using some foam sheet here, and I'm just adding quite a bit of double-sided tape onto the back of that foam sheet. I do go a little bit mad with my adhesive, but I like to make sure that everything's going to stick together. So I'm just removing the backings of that tape with some tweezers, and then I can place that down onto the back of the C piece. And then again I can just remove the tape, backings of the tape off that side as well. And then I can just place that down onto my card. And then as a finishing touch, I just wanted to make his eyes pop a little bit more on the shark. So I'm just going in with a white gel pen just to add in the highlights back into the eyes. That gel pen didn't seem to work very well, so I just grabbed another one and I'm just adding that onto the eyes, and I just think it makes a little bit of a difference there. So that's the card finished for today. As you can see, a really quick and simple card, but I think it'll be really good to change out the sentiments for lots of different occasions. All of the links to the products that I used will be over on the Hero Arts blog post, and I will have a link to that in the description bar here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.